Hi, guys. You are welcome to the Children and the Media podcast. Hear me out. We were supposed to have this episode out by Monday, the 4th of August. However, as you can hear from my voice, I have a flu. And fortunately or unfortunately, it takes a great voice to host a podcast. And I've really toggled, back and forth in my mind. And we're going to do this regardless. So I think the conversations are super important, and it's just so great to build consistency. I am also so excited because I have a new equipment for the podcast. I've gotten reviews like, oh, why don't you do videos? Let's not lie. The content you need, not content now, the equipment you need for a video podcast and just everything that comes with it. I just knew somewhere in my head that if I wanted to wait till I had everything in a perfect place, I wouldn't kickstart the podcast and, just start off basically. And so we're here about to have the long-awaited screen time conversation. I think screen time conversations are so special. Everybody likes to ask questions on screen time and just a lot of things, And I'm so glad that we are finally getting to the tough meat. If you are new to the podcast, we have just had a 3-part series on sharing, parenting, and all the things in between. So some of the things that we talk about on the podcast, that I talk about on the podcast, I like to say we. It gives this communal vibe, we are family. I got on my... Okay, no. And if you hear a shaky sound in the background, I have beads in my hair. Too much information, but just so you know, we are family. Okay. Yeah, I did that on purpose so that you hear that it's really beats. But yes, the screen time conversation is one that a lot of parents ask questions on, adults, teachers, if everybody really, because even adults are struggling with screen time. Even adults not struggle, but I think the screen time conversation is so huge because everything is a screen right now. There's a screen at work. There's a screen at school. There's a screen at home. Your phone is a screen. Communication in itself has become a huge screen. Yeah, if I might say so myself. So everyone is really interested in the screen time conversation. And as you might have guessed, today's episode, I'm just keeping it sweet, cute, simple. Just an intro to the screen time conversation. I promise you I had a lot lined up. But I am even recording this episode with a shaky voice. And I do not know that I want to put my audience through intermittently. So we're just going to do something so simple. My story on screen time. I'm sharing this, even though I saw that I will not share so much about my own personal experiences with tech. But my story on screen time is quite interesting. My dad got a desktop for the house, I think when I was 5 or 6. 6, yeah. So we had a desktop in the house, but it was in the living room. And the angle of the desktop was where, our parents could just always pass, monitor, use. So we were heavily monitored, and it wasn't in a bad way. It is even now I'm realizing that what our parents did, they may not have known it, but it was very strategic. It's the same thing we advise people with kids or people around kids to do. And so this desktop, it wasn't connected to the internet. We had, at the time, it was a modem you would use to connect. So the modem had a SIM card with data on it, and it was like a flash. I'm explaining all this because there are people, there's a generation that will not know what a modem is. And so it was like a flash. You would plug it to the desktop, that's other components that had the CD slot and everything. you would plug it in there to get internet connection. So if we needed to browse, my dad would be the one to plug in and just hover around us and see what we were trying to browse. Especially like when I went to secondary school and during the holidays, they would give some assignments, or my dad would bring you to his office and let you use his work laptop. So he would see both his work laptop and his work desktop. So he would see like your browsing history. He would basically just monitor you as you went about your interaction. So we had Encounter Kids, Mavis Beacon teaches. Shout out to Mavis Beacon because I type the way I type, and that's why people think I'm fighting, because I was playing quick games, penguin on the water, and friends. I was fighting for my life, typing XYZ. And so, but that's by the way. The point I'm trying to make is that was my exposure to technology. And that's just one part of screen time. The other side of screen time that we had was the TV. And that in itself was also monitored to a large extent. So I'm sure all the African children know that when your parents tell you not to watch TV and you watch, they'll come back and they'll touch the decoder if it's hot. They'll touch the back of the television. There were tricks and tips to evade all those checks and balances. But the point still is, we had TV screen time and we had like the desktop, and later on I think in secondary school we now had like a children's laptop, not like a one person device. That in itself was also monitored. There were things we couldn't do on the laptop and we thought it was normal until we found out that my father made some settings and there were things he removed or disabled from. You get the point now. So I'm telling all this story to let you know that screen time in itself is not bad. I just told you how I learned how to type because I was using Mavis Beacon. That alone makes a huge case for many educational technology companies. And I'm sure these are part of the things that people tell parents, school admins, educators when they're trying to sell them on how children can do assignments online and blah, 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 blah. That's not the conversation for today. The conversation for today is to give you an example of what screen time looks like. Screen time is anything that has like a screen and is technology related, has the lights, the fonts, the illumination. I'm just giving like this layman's term. So that is a screen, not screen time. Screen time, however, refers to like any time you spend in front of a screen. It's that easy. So I spoke on screens. Screens are all the things you're seeing: your phone, your tablet, your iPad, your television, your desktop, they're all screens. Screen time is the time you spend in front of a screen. Adults are struggling with screen time. I'm using the word struggle because we grew up in a time where like screens were not the beginning and the ending of our lives. So you could have books, you could have like other hobbies, you could exist functionally as at 2010 without an Android phone or without an iPhone, or your life was great. It was okay to just have that phone that could send SMS and take calls. You were good. Before Nokia, BlackBerry, HTC, Hawaii, and friends, you were good. And so when the screen time conversation comes up, I need everybody to know that children, adults, everybody is having the screen time conversation. Why? We're all spending time in front of screens. Whether you're spending yours for work, you're spending yours for the bag, you're spending yours for the dough, for the money, you're having screen time. And I just want to quickly say that the American Academy of Pediatrics, the AAP, have said that screen time includes just a lot of things: watching cartoons, studying, learning, playing. So I'm giving this AAP definition so that people don't think, because I use the word struggle with adults, and I'm saying it for the right reasons. Adults are always complaining that they want to wean themselves off their phones and all those things. They are always giving, I hate being on social media. I hate... That's why, help me, who did this pits? That's why I'm using the word struggle for adults. But generally, screen time includes a lot of things. So you can't say it's bad. You can't say it's good. It just exists. I like that. Proud middle ground person. It just exists. And if we're honest, not everybody's screen time is the same. I mean, your phone will tell you that this week you can use your phone for an average of 7 hours daily. Next week you can use your phone for an average of 2 hours daily. Like it genuinely depends. But at the end of the day, everybody is getting their screen time from different places. Your phone could say 2 hours. Your television is telling you that you have watched Grey's Anatomy season 1 to 6 in that week. And that is a crazy amount of screen time. I don't know how you did it. For example, when I started watching Game of Thrones, I think I binged season 1 in one day. My eyes wanted to peel. That's like 10 hours. Like, that's the most that I've binged something. So my phone would have felt, oh my goodness, her eyes are resting. She only checked her phone 3 times today. And my laptop is like, girl, wrap this shit up. Like, wrap whatever this is up. And that's the thing. Screen time is on various devices in various ways. Like, you amass the time in front of a screen through many ways. Even gaming devices. I hate to break it to you, but your Xbox, your Nintendo, your PlayStation, all on screen time. Screen time, Coursera, Udemy, Audacity. I'm sorry. I know that's not the way they pronounce it. It's me that likes calling it Audacity. But it's Udacity. Abby, have I called it Audacity so much that I've forgotten the real name? Please, I'm sorry, you guys don't sue me for copyrights or anything, defamation. I'm so sorry, but that's just like how I pronounce it, so it sticks. But yeah, virtual learning platforms also screen time. So I know you're applauding yourself for completing a 17-hour course in one day. Girl, boy, you just amassed an insane amount of screen time. So screen time is basically the time you spend in front of a screen. And we're having this conversation on account of many things. One, I don't know that we will ever return to a world without screens. Let's not lie. Let's not deceive ourselves. I see people who are on the divide of not giving kids any screen time at all and just so many things. And I think it's noble to have that idea. But let me make it clear where I stand. It's a dangerous thing to isolate children completely from the world around them. It's all fun and games that from 0 to 16, they have never even looked at a TV, a laptop, a DC. It's beautiful if you can do it by all means. But that isolation, when they finally get introduced to it, there are going to be two sides of the divide. The child who becomes obsessed and cannot really manage their discipline around that, or the child who continues to be so disinterested that even in a season of their lives where they need to embrace using screens and digital technology, they will fail to catch up. Yeah, I think that's the best way to put it. So somehow the bulk of the work on screen time has to fall with caring adults who are going to help children navigate their journey. That's the entire idea of the podcast. Concerned adults, the grown-ups who care about children. Wow, the cold is really kicking me in the head. I forgot to mention that for people who are always on FaceTime, if you're in Nigeria, WhatsApp, video calls are part of screen time. I love you too. 3 hours, and you guys are posting screenshots. That's great, but you have also amassed 3 hours of screen time. You need to understand that screen time is the amount of time you spend looking at the screen. Boom shakalaka. So I'm just going to go over a few stats. I like to read the stats. As you know, I'm a research girly. Does my best love hand Asia Wilson impression. According to a 2023 Common Sense Media report, children between the ages of 8 to 12 in the US spend an average of 5 hours, 33 minutes per day on screens for entertainment alone. That's actually a lot though, 5 hours. But to be fair, children in Nigeria, not for entertainment alone, but children in Nigeria are already amassing at least 3 hours worth of screen time every day. Yeah, children as young as 3 in Nigeria are already amassing 3 hours plus of screen time. And I've given you the broad definition of screens and screen time. So when we're saying screen time, don't just think mommy's phone, daddy's tablets. We're talking about TV time. Before somebody finishes watching 8 episodes of Paw Patrol or does a whole 8 o'clock to 12 p.m. run of Disney Junior, they have amassed enough screen time. That's minus when you give them other devices. So if you're really thinking about it, that's a lot of screen time. That's a lot. The Common Sense report also shows that teenagers have as much as 8 hours of screen time in the US, and some of it is not related to school use. I think that's part of why somebody like Jonathan Hadith, he has a book, The Anxious Generation. Love the book so much, even though I have some thoughts I don't know that I can share yet. But he talks about some of these things in his book, how crazy it is that teenagers are spending as much as 8 hours of screen time. So that's TV time, educational time, social media time, just entertainment. It's a lot. In Nigeria, a 2022 study published in the Nigerian Journal of Clinical Practice found that over 78% of children in urban areas spent more than 3 hours daily on screen time. I think I mentioned this. So this is the type of research I did during my master's, and the NCC, the Nigerian Communications Commission, released a report like this. That report was in 2020, and I'm so sure that the figures are astronomical right now. Their report shows the same thing, 3 hours or 3 hours plus of screen time daily for Nigerian in the urban areas. But they also have some numbers for the rural areas. And I know that right now, like I said, those numbers have increased. The World Health Organization recommends that children, younger kids, I think from 5 below, should not be exposed to more than an hour of casual screen time. I think there's research that backs this up. The lights and just everything that goes on with screens can be a bit overstimulating for kids. This is the reason why there are experts who are coming up now to give directives on the type of cartoons and shows and things that kids can engage with. Apparently, children get overstimulated by some of these very bright pictures, motion graphics, the songs, and just a lot happening. But that's not the focus for today. The focus for today is this research to prove that children are amassing crazy screen time. Like, it is insane. And I'm sure you're wondering how we found all this out. Again, research, surveys, interviews with children, longitudinal studies, observing kids. There's some kids that your device actually can tell you. I don't know if that works for TVs, but I know that for phones, for laptops, but I'm sure like for phones, for tablets, for iPads, it can tell you like how much screen time. So researchers constantly bring kids, their parents, their schools, their families, relatives, guardians into these types of research to get the necessary data. And that's why we have these numbers, or we can tell you like some of these figures necessary to explain the research angle. I think that children may never return to a place where they will completely be detached from screens. And that's why it is great to start having the screen time conversation. Screen time doesn't really involve what they are watching and when they are playing games. It just involves a lot of things, how they are spending their time, how they are growing and developing, what they are learning, how this affects them. There's research that proves that too much screen time can affect attention span, emotional development, and regulation. Yeah, like I said, that there has been research to prove that, some things that children see on screens could overstimulate them. And during my master's, I think I came across one research that says too much screen time distorts children's sleep pattern. So some of those kids that either play games, watch TV, or even do assignments until really late in the night, and the light rays on their eyes, it's a lot of explanation, and not that it's inherently bad, which is why I began the podcast with explaining my own personal experience. This is where parental monitoring and mediation comes in. It is such a key conversation that I think we should have more than the conversation of isolating children from screens. The broad name is parental monitoring and mediation, but if we're being honest, it should be adult monitoring and mediation. The teacher, the random person at the bus stop that sees a child with their neck bent the entire time, the uncle, the auntie, the lesson teacher who can tell the child, okay, let's use your book and pen to write. Just, you can set aside your laptop for now. And it is the responsibility of well-meaning adults to help children balance this out, to set boundaries, and to help them use screens intentionally. It is not inherent to children to know right from wrong, or to really know how to regulate and balance things out. So there are even some kids that you see, and this is sort of impressive behavior that they have. Call it quote and unquote immaturity, or you just see that they conduct themselves in a certain way. For kids like that, I know we like to swear that they are either above their age, or they act maturely, or yada yada yada. I think that their parents or the adults around them are doing a good job. Yeah, I like to believe that when I come across kids like that. So the screen time conversation is something that adults need to immerse themselves in really quickly to be able to get ahead of. Screen time is guys, I'm really fighting for my life. But thank you so much for sticking with me. Screen time is something we need to look at from so many angles, and I'm just grateful that we have the podcast. I have the podcast. You have the podcast. So when I say we, I like to feel like this is a community. I like to believe that we are all on the same page, working toward the same dream to protect children online. I think screen time is a conversation we need to have from different angles, from different perspectives. Let's not be biased. It's not easy to say, take all the children outside, let them touch grass, let them play with sand, destroy all televisions, destroy all. It's not easy to say things like that. It's not easy to swear that until your child is 16, they will never use phones or this or that. Or it's not easy to not buy television for 60 years. Or see, a lot of these things, I'm not saying people can't do it, but I think a more objective conversation should include all sides, should include a more nuanced take, should include, better ways to navigate all sides to the conversation. And to wrap this up, like I said, I'm fighting for dear life Today's episode cannot afford to be long. Screen time is a staple that has come to stay, and we should have conversations about it. We should be mindful about it. We should stay informed, like randomly stay and read up. Even as an adult, what does it do to you? I think for adults, screen time has destroyed attention span. Something about the ease in swiping. I also think that screen time has improved like knowledge accessibility. I'm making a case for it in a way that there are things that if somebody says to you, it's easy to pull out the nearest screen and learn from or learn about what the person is sharing. You watch a medical show, and after 6 seasons, if they bring in a trauma patient, you can tell them 10 blade, make an incision. If you have watched Grey's Anatomy, The Resident, The Good Doctor, like if you have watched at least 4 medical shows, I'd like to think you should be able to treat some common ailments. Please, I'm absolutely joking. I respect the medical profession so seriously. I do not in any way mean to disregard the important work and sacrifice that it takes to become a doctor. My point is, screen time is not exactly bad the way people come out to say it, and it's not great either. And that's why I look forward to having more conversations on the many sides to screen time in the other episodes. So again, the Children and Media podcast is a bi-weekly podcast. Every 2 weeks, we gather to have conversations. We share our thoughts. I actually get feedback, and I think maybe next episode I should sit down and read some of the feedback that I get. It's so helpful, so touching and inspiring, and really even helps me learn more. People point out things that I often miss or haven't really looked into when I share some of the things I share on the podcast. So, wow. I remain your host, Christabel Nnamdi. Thank you for making it to episode 7 of the Children and Media podcast. I hope you stick around. We have 20 episodes in this first season. And yeah, thank you so much for plugging in. Really grateful. Don't forget to share your thoughts to our email, thecampodcast@gmail.com. We're on social media as thecampodcast_, Instagram, X, Threads. We're on YouTube as the C&M podcast. We are on Linktree as well. Everywhere you get your podcasts, guys. Apple, Spotify, YouTube, Amazon, everywhere. We are everywhere. Everywhere you... Sorry. I wanted to have like an everywhere you go song. Oh, MTN, everywhere you go. But there's no song, and it's a brand. I can't take from their brand. But thanks, guys. I hope to see you in 2 weeks' time, locked in and ready to talk more on screen times. Bye.